Man, what's poppin' with y'all? I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a late read. My apologies. I be trying to do them earlier throughout the day, but this really feel like the only time that I can get them out for y'all, and for myself at least. But it's currently February 6th at 11:45. I'm not really gonna do too much talking. I already know we're gonna put the 15-minute timer on the clock. Just go ahead and pick up where we left off from yesterday. So we're currently in chapter 7, which is manage your environment, go first class. And we're picking where we left off from yesterday, which was on page 154. And it says, make no mistake about it. You are judged by the company you keep. Birds of a feather do flock together. Fellow workers are not all alike. Some are negative, others are positive. Some work because they have to, others are ambitious and work for advancement. Some associates belittle everything the boss says or does. Others are much more objective and realize they must be good followers before they can be good leaders. How we think is directly affected by the group we're in. Be sure you're in a flock that always thinks right. There are pitfalls to watching your work environment. In every group, there are persons who secretly are aware of their own inadequacies, want to stand in your way and prevent you from making progress. Many ambitious fellows have been laughed at, even threatened, because they tried to be more efficient and produce more. Let's face it, some folks, being jealous, want to make you feel embarrassed because you want to move upward. This often happens in factories where fellow workers sometimes resent the fellow who wants to speed up production. It happens in the military service when a clique of negative-minded individuals poke fun at and try to humiliate the young soldier who wants to go to the officer school. It happens in business too, when a few individuals not qualified to advance try to block the way for someone else. You see it happen time and time again in high schools when a group of luckheads deride a classmate who has the good sense to make the most of his educational opportunities and come out with high grades. Sometimes, and all too sadly often, the bright student is jeered at until he reaches the conclusion that it isn't smart to be intelligent. Ignore such negative thinkers in your midst, for often the remarks made in your direction aren't so personal as you might think at first. They are merely a projection of the speaker's own feeling of failure and discouragement. Don't let negative thinkers pull you down to their level. Let them slide by, like the water from the proverbial duck's bay. Cling to people who think progressively. Move upward with them. You can do it simply by thinking right. A special word of caution. Be careful about your source of advice. In most organizations, you will encounter freelance advisors who knows the ropes and are tremendously eager to clue you in. One time I overheard a freelance advisor explaining the facts of the office life to a bright young man just starting in. Said the advisor, the best way to get along here is to stay out of everybody's way. If they're going to get to know you, all they'll do is pile up more work on you. Be especially careful to stay away from Mr. Z, that's the department manager. If he thinks you haven't got enough to do, he'll load you down. This freelance advisor had been with the company for almost 30 years and was still the bottom man on the totem pole. What a consultant for a young man who wants to move upward in the business. Exactly. Like it'll be like those people that's like why am I listening to you? That makes sense though. Facts. Make it a rule to seek advice from people who know. Facts. There's a lot of incorrect thinking that successful people are inaccessible. The plain truth is they are not. As a rule, it's the most successful people who are the most humble and ready to help. Since they are sincerely interested in their work and success, they are eager to see that the work lives on and that somebody is capable to succeed with them while they retire. It's the would-be big people who are almost often the most abrupt and hard to get to know. An executive made this clear. I'm a busy woman. but there is no do not disturb sign on my office door. Counseling people is one of my key functions. We give standardized training of one of a kind or another to everybody in the company. But personal counseling or tutoring, as I like to call it, is available for the asking. I stand ready to help the fellow who comes in here with either a company or a personal problem. The fellow who displays curiosity and exhibits a real desire to know more about his job and how it relates to other jobs is the individual I like the most to help. But she said, for obvious reasons, I can't spend time offering advice to anybody who isn't sincere in seeking it. Go first class when you have questions. Seeking advice from a failure is like consulting a quake on how to cure cancer. Oh, facts. Facts. Making executives today nearly employ persons for key jobs without first interviewing the fellow's wife. One sales executive explained to me, I want to be sure the prospective salesman has his family behind him, a cooperative family that won't object in travel, irregular hours, and other inconveniences which are part of selling, a family that will help the salesman over those inevitable rough spots. Executive told realized that happens on weekends and between 6 p.m. to 9 a.m. directly affects a person's performance from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. The person with the constructive off-the-job life nearly always is more successful than the person who lives life dull, dreary home situation. Let's look in how a traditional way two co-workers, John and Milton, spend their weekends. Let's look two at the ultimate results. John's psychological diet on weekends is something like this. Usually one evening is spent with some careful selected interesting friends. Another evening is generally spent out, perhaps at a movie, a civic or a community project, or some friend's house. John devotes Saturday morning to a Boy Scout work. Saturday afternoon, he does errands and chores around the house. Often he works on some special project. Currently, it's building a patio in the backyard. On Sundays, John and his family do something special. On Sunday, recently, they climbed a mountain. Another Sunday, they visited a museum. Occasionally, they drove into a nearby countryside, for John wants to buy some country property in the not-too-distant future. Sunday evening is spent quietly. John usually reads a book and catches up on the news. Wrapped up, John's weekends are planned. His many refreshing activities keep boredom locked out. John gets plenty of psychological sunshine. Milton's psychological diet is much less well-balanced than John's. His weekends are unplanned. Milton is usually pretty tired on Friday night, but he goes through the motions of asking his wife, want to do anything tonight? But the plan dies there. Rarely do Milton and his wife entertain, and rarely are they invited out. Milton sleeps late on Saturday morning, and the rest of the day is taken up by the chores, kind or another. Saturday night, Milton and his family usually go to a movie or watch TV. What else is there to do? Milton spends most of his Sunday morning in bed. Sunday afternoon, they drive over to Bill and Mary's, or Bill and Mary drive over to see them. Bill and Mary are the only couple Milton and his wife visit regularly. Milton's entire weekend is marked by boredom. By the time Sunday evening rolls around, the family is on each other's nerves, and as a result of cabin fever, there are no knockdown, drag-out fights, but there are hours of psychological warfare. Milton's weekend is dull, dreary, and boring. Milton gets no psychological sunshine. Now, what's the effect of these two home environments on John and Milton? Over a period of a week or two, there is no perceivable effect. But over a period of months and years, the effect is tremendous. John's environment pattern leaves him refreshed, gives him ideas, tunes up his thinking. He's like an athlete being fed steak. Milton's environmental pattern leaves him psychologically starved. His thinking mechanism is impaired. He's like a he's like a athlete begging he's like an athlete being fed candy and beer. John and Milton may be on the same level today, but they will gradually be a wide gap between them in months ahead, with John in the lead position. Casually observers will say, well, I guess John has more on the ball than Milton. But those of us who know will explain that much of the difference in job performance is a result of the difference in the mine food consumed by two fellows. Every farmer in the corn belt knows if he puts plenty of fertilizer with his corn, he's going to get a bigger yield. Thinking too must be given additional nourishment if we want to get better results. My wife and I, along the 5 other couples, spent a wonderful evening last month as guests of a department store executive and his wife. My wife and I lingered just a little longer than the others, so I had a chance to ask our host, whom I know well, a question that had been in my mind all that evening. This was really a wonderful evening, I said, but I am puzzled about one thing. I'd expect to meet mainly other retaining executives here tonight, but your guests all represented different fields. There was a writer, a doctor, engineer, an accountant, and a teacher. He smiled and said, well, we often entertain retailing people, but Helen and I find it's very refreshing to mix with people who do something else for a living. I'm afraid if we confine on entertaining people who only have interests similar to our own, we find ourselves in the old we've known route. Yeah, facts. Besides, he went on, people are my business. Every day, thousands of people of every occupation group imaginable visit our store. The more I can learn about other people, their ideas, interests, and viewpoints, the better job I can do in giving them merchandise and service they will want to buy. Here are a few simple do's to make your social environment first class. Number 1, do circular in groups. Restricting your social environment to the same small group produces boredom, dullness, dissatisfaction. Equally important, remember that your success building program requires that you become an expert in understanding people. Trying to learn all there is to know about people by studying one small group is like trying to master mathematics by reading one short book. Make new friends, join new organizations, enlarge your social orbit. Then, too, variety in people. Like variety in anything else, adds spice to life and gives it a broader dimension. It's good mind food. Number 2, do select friends who have views different from your own. In this modern age, the narrow individual hasn't much future. Responsibility and positions of importance gravitate to the person who is able to see both sides. If you're a Republican, make sure you have some friends who are Democrats and vice versa. Get to know people of different religious faiths, associate with opposites, but just be sure there are persons with real potential. Number 3, do select friends who stand over petty, important things. Folks who are more concerned with the square foot age of your home or appliances you have or don't have than your ideas and your conversation are in line to be petty. Guard your psychological environment. Select friends who are interested in positive things. Friends who really do want you to succeed. Find friends who breathe encouragement into your plans and ideas. If you select petty thinkers as your close friends, you'll gradually develop into a petty thinker yourself. That's a fact. Change your environment, bro. Literally. We're a poison cautious nation. Body poison, that is. Every restaurateur is on guard against food poisoning. Just a couple cases of it, and his patrons wouldn't near come back to his place. We've got tons of laws to protect publics against hundreds of body poisons. We should put poisons on the top of shelves so kids can't reach them. We go to any extreme to avoid body poisons, and that's what we do. But there's another type of poison, perhaps a little more insidious, thought poison, commonly called gossip. Thought poison differs from body poison in two ways. It affects the mind, not the body, and is more suitable. The person being poisoned usually doesn't know it. Thought poison is subtle, but it accomplishes. All right, the timer just stopped, y'all. But I'm gonna read until I'm gonna read this little bit, and then we'll pick up tomorrow. It says, thought poison is subtle, but it accomplishes big things. It reduces the size of your thinking by forcing us to concentrate on petty, unimportant things. It warps and twists our thinking about people because it is based on distortion of facts, and it creates a guilt feeling in us that shows through when we meet the person we've gossiped about. Thought poison is 0% right thinking. It is 100% wrong thinking. So we're going to pick up tomorrow, the end of page 161, and we're going to start with and contrary to lots of opinion. So I hope you guys like to read. You guys stay blessed. You guys stay encouraged. Get it with y'all tomorrow.